Good morning. We'll call the board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good morning. Just a reminder, the mask rule, if you will, you can see that we aren't wearing it, and it is not required for us to wear it up here as we're presenting, and also when you're at the podium, you do not have to wear it. So if you choose to, that is fine. But just so if there's any questions or concerns why that's happening up here, that is why. So anyway, moving on with the agenda, consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Hearing none, I move to approve the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. University of Minnesota Extension. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Johnson. I am the Ag and Hort Extension Educator for both McLeod and Meeker counties. This morning, I do want to share a little bit about the Farm Family of the Year Recognition Program. So this program has existed over 30 years, honoring farm families from across the entire state of Minnesota, and really focuses on finding families that not only do exceptional jobs on their farms, but also do that next step and contribute to their local communities in a variety of different ways. Of course, our family this year is an exemplary example of that. This program is created in partnership with a lot of different people, including the county bases, but University of Minnesota Extension, the College of Food, Agriculture, and Natural Resource Sciences, as well as the College of Veterinary Medicine, the Minnesota Ag Experiment Stations, and Farm Fest as well. As you guys know, COVID has changed a lot in our lives, and that has affected our Farm Family of the Year program as well. So the Farm Fest celebration for our farm families looked quite different this year, and it was actually a virtual showcase of our farm families. And so we have tried to figure out different ways to honor our farm families more locally, one of which is, of course, coming to you and sharing some more information about them this year. Besides this meeting, we've also tried to do quite a bit of public recognition of them through our local Facebook page, through social media as well. So we appreciate the opportunity to do that. This year, we'd like to recognize Steve and Kelly Reiner and their families for our McLeod County 2020 Farm Family of the Year. And I would like to have them come up now and introduce their family and tell a little bit more about their farming operation.
Good morning.
I think most of you know who I am, but I'm Steve Reiner, and my wife Kelly, our son Tyler, who's 16, going to be a junior, hopefully in Hutchinson High School, if we have school. Caitlin is one more semester at NDSU. She'll graduate with a nursing degree. And Mitchell just graduated from SDSU this spring with a degree in ag science. So, in a nutshell, my grandparents were married. My grandmother was from Winstead. Anyway, they moved up to Kimball till the mid-40s when they came back to McLeod County. They're both from this area. Were able to buy a farm south of town. Kind of continued on from there. Bought a second farm. My dad and my uncle farmed together for a long, long time till my dad passed away. My uncle just recently retired. Actually, this year is his first full retirement year. So that opened the door for Mitchell and eventually possibly Tyler, if so be, to join in. And so they had dairy. when I was younger, but my dad sold the dairy cows back in the mid-'90s. I had no interest in it, so we just kind of moved on from there. So we've got a few other sideline businesses. We do some trucking, we do some snow removal, and Kelly runs Hutchinson Countryside Retreats. All those things were something that we were kind of passionate in. I mean, what kid doesn't like trucks, you know? So it just kind of evolved, and Kelly was passionate with that. So it's kind of like, well, if you have a passion, sometimes you can turn it into something bigger. So I don't know, that's kind of us in a nutshell. Well, I did 9 years on the McLeod County Corn and Soybean Growers Board. That was a very good experience. I've been on the Hassan Valley Town Board since 2005. Kelly and I are both on church committee, and I don't know, Kelly wants to explain. Kelly and the kids and I've helped, but Kelly's been pretty active with 4-H, being leader for 3 or 4 years, and the kids all went through the program and enjoyed it. And all 3 kids have helped on the farm. They all know how to run a grain cart and pretty much can drive a truck too if they need to. So, but yeah, we've been on different committees, and it's kind of nice to give back a little bit. So.
Do you guys have any questions for the family?
Does the board have anything for the family?
Mr. Chair,
Ron?
Steve, I don't know why you didn't have a passion for milking cows day and night, but
Yeah, I don't either.
I congratulate you
I
personally.
didn't like to bale hay either, so you know, neither one really was.
I'd just say congratulations, Steve and Kelly. I know you guys work hard and you run a A1 operation out there.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations.
Mitchell, someday he'll let you run the combine, I promise.
My years are probably numbered.
Thank you.
So just want to thank you guys again for allowing us to come and share a little bit about our 2020 McLeod County Farm Family of the Year. If you are interested, there's a full list of all of the recipients on the Minnesota Farm Family CFANS website if you're interested in learning more about other families from across the state of Minnesota. But appreciate the time this morning and hope you have a good rest of your meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our every 2-week COVID update. Megan, good morning. Sorry, I turned the page.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Morning, Commissioners and Sheila. I'm going to give you a bit of an update from a public health standpoint, and then we have Health and Human Services Committee this afternoon, and we can talk further about COVID and other topics. I just wanted to start off by giving you a case count, talk for a minute about our testing event that I know Kevin will probably touch on, and then I know that's part of the workshop as well. Talk a little bit about where we're at with schools. I heard that come up a minute ago, and I know it's on everybody's minds, and then an update on long-term care testing, and I'll try to do that all in about 3 minutes if I can manage. All right, so our case count, cumulative case count has gone up significantly in McLeod County. I think everyone's aware of that. There's been extensive local media coverage, but we also made the news in the cities this last week, which I don't think any of us were hoping to do. Some of the reports were a little more accurate than others, but we are seeing a spike in cases, so that's the reality. So 277 cases cumulatively as of the end of business yesterday. We still have had 0 deaths, and we certainly hope it continues that way. I just checked right before I came over, we still have 2 in the hospital, and they're both hospitalized in the cities. So that, again, tells us they have to be in pretty serious shape in order to be medevaced, I guess, to the cities for care. I know there is a lot of interest about what's going on with our plant Seneca here in town, and I think there is some myths and misinformation about how much they're driving our overall case growth, but I will, just because there's interest in it, I will give you the caseload number for Seneca as well. As of yesterday, the state was reporting 51 confirmed cases at Seneca, and that's across 3 counties. So that includes McLeod's cases as well as a handful in Carver and a few in Sibley as well. On top of that, they have 9 suspected cases that the state is still needing to call to do contact tracing. So those are the official numbers. And I just want to say, I'm giving you official numbers today. These are out of the state's system. We know on the ground here that we have both more cases as a county. We're well over 300 already based on, our informal count locally, and Seneca certainly has more than 51. The state system just doesn't always keep up as quickly. We find out from JRH and Hutch Health right away when we get out positive, so we know we have quite a few more than that. And I'll just give you an example of the caseload growth we're seeing. And granted, yesterday was a Monday, so some of this is reports of cases coming in over the weekend, but just yesterday we had approximately 32 new positive cases reported. And just to give people a sense, about half of those were from Seneca because they are having an issue there, as we talked about, but half of them weren't. So I think there's a little bit of a misinformation, going around the community about Seneca driving all of this, or that that's our main problem. The reality is about half of our caseload growth in the county is not from Seneca. And so we still need to be very vigilant, individually and collectively in terms of following these mitigation measures, masking, distancing, hand washing, and just keeping on with that. I think we've been maybe a little bit lax as a community around some of that, and we're now seeing that in terms of our caseload growth. So with that, with the spike in cases we're seeing, as you all know, we are working to have this, the state come in and do a mass testing event here this Thursday, August 20th. It'll be from 2 to 9 right here in this building. It is a walkthrough. I've had lots of questions about whether it's a drive-through. It's kind of a park and walk-up type situation. And I also had some questions this morning about people maybe being a little reluctant to come because would they be exposed to something during the testing? But no, we're public health. We're obsessed with this stuff. Everybody can trust that we're going to make sure you're properly socially distanced. Masks will be mandated. If you don't have one, we'll provide one. So people don't need to worry about, coming to the testing event and getting infected with COVID. I just want to be clear about that. We're trying to have what's called a no barriers testing event. So you don't need ID, insurance, it's free. And we certainly don't want the fear of contracting COVID to keep people away either.
Megan?
So moving on, yes, Sheila.
I just want to clarify, the testing event is not, we did not arrange a testing event, correct?
Correct.
The state asked us to hold it here, just so they understand better how that all came about.
Correct.
And it's here,
It is here in this building, in this
Okay.
room, actually. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the state is coming in, actually, exactly. We're in conversation with the state all the time about different ways they can support us, and they really felt it was a good idea to come in at this point. We're hoping to test 700 to 750 people in the course of that, I guess it's 7-hour time period, but we can do up to 1,000. So we're hoping just to get a good sense of a point in time where we're at. Now, as a result, we're already seeing our caseloads grow up, as I was talking about, but you better believe that we're going to get a bunch of positive test results from the testing event. And I've had some questions about, well, then where does that put us with the schools? Because we all know we're watching that 14-day kind of rolling average to see whether the schools can open or not. And, the state only updates that every 2 weeks. So we know, I have it right here. When it was updated last Thursday, our 2-week rolling average went up from 5, just over 5, to almost 14. And that's as of 2 weeks ago. So you can bet we're probably a bit above 14 at this point. And 14 moves us from where we were initially of being able to have in-person learning for all students to that second step where elementary students can still be in person, but we would need to do a hybrid model for the older kids. So, but I'm anticipating, when the next 2 weeks come out this Thursday, or they'll update an additional week, I guess, that we'll probably be above 14. So if you get questions about that. The last thing I had real quick was long-term care testing. We have, as of this point, 5 facilities that have tested overall. Grab that quick. 2 have had positives. 1 had 1 staff and 1 had 2 residents and a staff. Both of the ones that have had the positive test completed all their rounds of testing, and now they follow up as an individual facility to complete until they have 2 rounds of all negatives. And I know there was some interest in this, so I'll just let you know we have 4 assisted livings and 1 nursing home that still we'll be going through the rotation for testing and getting scheduled at some point. So I think that's all I have for now. We can have more information for you this afternoon.
Very good.
Okay.
Any questions right now?
Mr. Chair. Go ahead.
Ron, go ahead.
Thank you. Megan, regarding the testing coming up Thursday this week.
Yes.
Is it limited to only county residents, or is it a kind of an area test? Anybody from Sibley or Carver or Renville can come over as well? How would you describe that?
Well, again, because we're not going to be checking ID, we won't be verifying anybody's, where they live. It really is intended to be for McLeod residents. So we would encourage people, if they live outside McLeod boundaries, to get testing in their own local area.
Okay.
But certainly, we would love to have all Seneca employees feel welcome. If you live or work in the county,
Okay.
feel welcome.
I'm not familiar with the testing procedure, but
Yes.
somehow the test results have to be communicated back to the individual. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner, that's correct. And I do want to be clear, we're doing a mid-nasal swab. So you've heard of that, and I've had it. That test that goes way back, feels like it touches your brain. It's not the testing method we're doing here. It's the mid-nasal swab. So it'll go about halfway up. And then if you're positive, you'll get a call. If your result's negative, you'll get an email or a text. And we expect all the results will be available within 72 hours. So it's a very nice, quick turnaround.
All right. Well, would the results of a positive test come back to public health as well, or?
That's correct, Mr.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Chair and
Thank you.
Commissioner. Yes, we get all the positives.
Doug?
Yes, Megan, thanks for all you do. I mean, we've been in contact, I've been in contact with you, so,
Yes.
and I've been quite involved with some of the local stuff, and I'm a little concerned about some people are pretty panicky. I mean, obviously, we should be concerned, but some are panicky, and as I've been going through this, I've learned that there's been a number of people in the community that have had COVID and are cured, and there's no data on that, is there? I mean, and the only reason I bring this up is it's a little relief when you tell someone that, you don't disclose names, but I've run across people that have had it and got through it, and they're back to normal work, and that's a relief to some of the people that'll call. There is no data on that, on people that have had it and are cured, or is there?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner, the way the health department talks about it is not really cured, because we're finding out, that unfortunately in some
Bad
people,
choice of words.
COVID can have lasting impacts that are particularly neurological ones that are kind of hard to shake. But the way the health department looks at it is number of people who are out of isolation. So in other words, they can go back to their normal activities as long as they feel okay, because they're not required to be in isolation anymore. I don't have our numbers for McLeod, but I can tell you on our call with Seneca on Monday, about over half of the people that they have experienced COVID infection that we know about are out of isolation. So it's a really good point. That number 277 is pretty daunting, but I would guess, if I had to estimate, probably more than half are no longer in isolation.
And I mean, and thank you, it's just good to know, an FYI, but I mean, some people think that it's the end, and it's not. There's some consolation knowing that, you just go through it.
That's correct.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Megan, I think what Commissioner Kruger, too, what we've talked about is just, it would be really great if we knew the recovery rates or who in our communities was considered recovered, and that has nothing to do with public health. We're just always hearing this overall case number
Yes.
since March, and of course, I would assume at some time the state will include that too in letting communities know. But one question I wanted you to go over for the community and for the commissioners was talking about who should come to the testing.
Mm-hmm.
People who have had COVID and have had tested positive should not, correct? Can you go over that real quick?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and Sheila. Definitely, if you have tested positive for COVID ever, this testing event is not for you. We're all operating from the standpoint that you probably have some level of immunity for some period of time. So if you've had a positive confirmed test, you can for sure stay home. Now, if you have had a test recently and it wasn't positive, some people might think, well, I just tested, I don't need to come. We still would really like you to show up if you've had a test recently and it was negative. That test is only good for that day you take it. You could catch COVID the next day. So those folks we really would encourage to attend.
Thank you.
Does that answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Ron.
May I ask one more question? Megan, the testing, results coming back? Are they getting more expedient, or are we getting results in a timely fashion? I know a few weeks ago there was some concern that the results were taking too long to get back. How do you see that today?
Sure. Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioner, I think it really varies. It kind of goes up and down based on how much reagent is available, which is the lab chemicals. It seems to just it's a little bit unpredictable. As of this moment, they seem to be coming in a normal time frame, which would be definitely under 7 days, hopefully 3 to 4. Tomorrow, it could swing the other direction, but as I stand before you right now, it seems to be going okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So this started with very few questions, and now you stand up here for quite a while.
I know, I said 3 minutes, and I'm probably triple that now. I also just, in closing, can I just say thank you to the board? This will be my last board meeting where I'm reporting in this capacity. I'll see you this afternoon as well, but you'll have your new director at your next meeting, so that'll be exciting for everybody to.
No, and thank you very much, and you've done
Yes.
a great job in getting us through this. So
Thank you. Thanks so much for your support.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure meeting you. You've done a great job, so thank you.
Likewise, thanks very much.
We really
Like I said,
appreciate your service.
It's been a great experience. Thank you.
Okay, Kevin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just here to update you on kind of the emergency management aspect of kind of the response, what we've been doing. Obviously, my office, along with everybody else, has been very busy over the last couple weeks. First of all, I want to say that with this testing event, this is a true unified whole community approach to planning. We have Seneca very involved in this. We have the city of Glanco very involved, McLeod County as well, and also the state of Minnesota. We're all working very closely together. Very proud of the partnerships that we formed throughout this event. And we're all bringing resources to the event, so it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's truly a whole community approach. So my part in this is really kind of coming up with a plan. So we have, in emergency management, when things go bad, we have what we form as an incident action plan that gives us a document of how we can do things, how can we respond and train and everything. So some of the things I've been working on is the incident command chart, a communications plan, because communications are always an issue in an event. Working on the medical plans, should we need any kind of ambulance assistance, anything like that. Of course, being a safety director, also kind of working on a safety plan to make sure everybody, staff as well as those coming through the clinic are safe. And then supporting documents such as maps and schedules and different things like that. So we're really kind of working on a lot of the logistics and bringing resources to the table and getting that taken care of. After that event, obviously, is, we're going to be watching those numbers come in pretty closely, like Megan says, within 72 hours. Hopefully, we'll get those results. Based on those results, we're already doing some pre-planning. So if we run out of sheltering for people and we need to do some more, we're actually looking kind of outside the boundaries of McLeod County. We're looking for a hotel space. We even had some people looking at rental of RVs. To see how many we can do that, and it's another lodging source. So we're kind of thinking outside the box, should we need to activate any kind of housing with this as well. So that is pretty much my quick update here for this week.
Very good. Any questions for Kevin?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Not about COVID, could you just give you a quick summary about the tornadoes the other night? I know you were involved, so.
Sure, yeah, it was a busy night. Not much of a weekend, actually. Obviously, in Friday night, August 14th, we did have 2 confirmed tornadoes in McLeod County. That was confirmed by the National Weather Service. Out of this, there were a total of 6 in the state of Minnesota. We had 2 of them. Not that we're bragging or anything like that, but that is something that is the facts. And then also we did have the strongest tornado in the state that day as well. So we ended up having 2 tornadoes. So one touched down east of Lake Marion along County Road 3 or 110th Street. It was on the ground for, I think, approximately 1.75 miles. It was about 300 yards wide. So we did some things there, a lot of good information. That one lifted, and then it formed another tornado, which actually was an EF1 tornado, which is winds 95 miles per hour. And that was on the ground for about 2.25 miles with about 250 yards of wide at the widest time. So we've had numerous sheds that were damaged, farm implements, and different things that were kind of all insurance related. We don't really have any public infrastructure that was damaged as a result of that, so there's really no state assistance. I did check in with McLeod Co-op Power to see if they had any damages because they would be eligible. I think there's 3 outages that they had and it was just wires down. So for the most part, it was kind of a, I don't want to say a non-event, but it wasn't as bad as we thought when it was happening. So obviously, we don't have anybody injured. We didn't have anybody missing that we are aware of, so we're very fortunate for that. Also, just kind of, I know I come up here every year to talk about Code Red and ask to renew that. So just kind of want to throw out a quick couple numbers I gathered from our Code Red notifications that went out to our communities. We've made about 5,100 phone calls, just under 2,100 emails, and just under 3,500 text messages. So combined all of that between our 5 different warnings we had about 10,600 total contacts that Code Red made. So is this contributed to having no injuries and everything? I don't know, but I did talk to a couple people that they got the alert on their phone and then they took shelter and got in the house safely. So very proud of those numbers, so I just kind of wanted to plug in Code Red, and if people have questions about that, they can always talk to me about getting signed up. So.
Thank you.
Kevin, you're welcome to stay at the podium, because I think you're next, but Sheila, do you have any update?
I think they covered everything. I'll go over my information during the CARES Act item.
Okay, and forgive me, any questions for Kevin? If not, Kevin, you can move on to your agenda item if you would like.
Thank you. Now here, seeking approval to purchase a audio-video cart for our primary emergency operations center. The equipment that we currently have in that building or in that room is outdated. It doesn't function very well and getting kind of old, as it's several years old. So what we did is we went out and got quotes from 4 different vendors on the state contract. The quotes ranged from, I think, $9,046.16 to $13,701.98. So I guess at this time, we are recommending that we pursue the quote from Z Systems Incorporated out of St. Louis Park, Minnesota, in the amount not to exceed $9,046.16. And the funds would be coming out of the emergency management budget.
Any questions for Kevin? Sounds like,
Mr. Chair.
yes.
Okay. I was going to hold back. Maybe I should make the motion to approve first and then.
All right, I'll take that as a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion?
Yes,
Commissioner
Mr. Chair. Kevin, I think this is a crucial piece of equipment, and it will tie in with our IT system at the courthouse on an as-needed basis, or
Yes, it will.
how will that operate in an emergency situation? We'll just tap into our network and pull data through there?
Yes, we can. So what this would do is we work very closely with Matt Troska. He's the one that reached out to the companies and got the quotes. We've been working with him since the start of this project in his office. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be able to use it kind of as a projection system as well, so that we have a current projection system that is out of date, and we're able to pull in computers connected to it wirelessly to make sure we kind of have the upgraded technology to do that. So yes, that will have the opportunity to work with our network as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Item for the jail. Will? I saw him. There he is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Will.
I'm just here today briefly to introduce the county's new and first sentence to serve as crew leader. His name's Pete Leeson. If he can stand up or come down here. He started with us in the jail as a correctional officer in January. Through the interview process, we identified him. We're excited to get him going. Today's his first day. We're hoping to line up some jobs here and hopefully take out crews starting next week. Yeah, it's been a long process, and we're excited to get this ball rolling.
Very good. Pete, do you want to just introduce yourself and welcome?
Good morning.
I know you've been
Thank
here,
you. I'm looking very forward to this opportunity to work as the STS crew leader. I've enjoyed working in the jail. It's just another footprint for me to put my boots into. I've enjoyed corrections, I've enjoyed law enforcement, so it's just a continuation to be able to help the county and throughout the state to ensure people are meeting their required goals. So.
Well, we're excited for the program. And
Great. And we will give you plenty of customers.
Welcome aboard.
yes, thank you very much. Will, thanks for the work you've
Yes.
done with it, too.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Information technology, Matt.
Right on time.
Can you believe it?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Here to request consider approval of renewal of website hosting agreement with Revise LLC of Troy, Michigan for 4 years for a total cost of $43,400 over 4 years with funds from the information technology budget. The total cost includes an annual hosting fee of $9,900 each year and a one-time fee of $3,800 for additional work related to website redesign. Revise requires a renewal agreement to complete the redesign included with the current agreement. This agreement, or this renewal, extends website hosting through March of 2025 and includes a free redesign within the 4th year of the renewal agreement. The additional work related to the redesign includes rebuilding the sitemap, content migration, and items for ADA compliance. The redesign process will begin following the approval of this agreement. The goal is to have the redesign completed for go-live around the time of the move to the Government Center.
All right, any questions for Matt? Anything else, Sheila?
No, this is an expected expense and an expected upgrade for our system, so Matt and myself and a couple of others have been working together and with Revise, and I think that this project will go very well and hope that this will move forward.
I appreciate the consideration with the Government Center project, so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the hosting agreement.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if
Yes.
I may just comment that I really appreciate the website as it's been assembled by Revise, and I really support the work that they do here. So I appreciate bringing this renewal to us, and we can say yes to it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Public Works. Man, it's a whole crew listed here today, so we'll start
some
with John.
heavy hitters with too, so.
Okay.
I'll kick it off, and then if there's certainly gonna be maybe some ditch questions, and I'll turn that over to Adam and Ryan, but we're here to consider approval of a quote we got from Landwork Construction out of St. Cloud for box culvert construction near Kale Avenue or County Road 90, and this is on the County Ditch 40 system, southwest of Silver Lake. The cost of that box culvert construction, $103,552, with funds from the county CD 40 ditch system, 20-649. We did get other quotes ranging from $107,000 up to $123,000. And this project started with, there's currently a private driveway that crosses that bridge, serves kind of almost a landlocked parcel, and Ryan and Adam, the ditch system, reached out to us for some engineering services on it, and this is what we came back with. Currently, there's a temporary shored up bridge that's helping support the existing one, because the existing one is certainly deficient and needs replacement. So that's about the extent of our part of it, I guess. If there's CD 40 questions or something, I'll certainly defer to Ryan and Adam.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I guess, I mean, I've had some concerns. I know about this, but obviously with the calls I got, some people do not. So, I mean, with the ditch situation in CD 40, I don't know if Connie or Ryan or Adam or both all can give us some kind of an idea how that breakdown goes. It's not just to 40, if I'm right, it goes to the whole system. Could somebody break that down for us?
Yes, this is one of the bridges that was originally installed when CD 40 was constructed. There were 6 bridges originally installed with this system, and this is the 5th of 6. There is one bridge remaining, so.
There's 5 have been replaced so far?
So far. This would be the 5th of 6
Okay.
that have been replaced.
Now, do you know the breakdown, or is that a Connie question to how the assessments go out? It goes out to 16 and 9 also that go into 40, is that correct?
That is correct. It would be, the redetermination of benefits was approximately a year and a half ago that the redetermination was complete, so it will go out to all those receiving benefits on that benefit listing.
And that's not quite correct. It will get charged to the ditch system. You will then make the assessments and spread it out over the number of years at your annual meeting where you set assessments for each of the ditches. So it doesn't automatically happen. It automatically gets charged to that ditch system, but you will review it. And when is that meeting, Connie? Is it in the fall? So you will be presented with, we have this much of an amount owing, and what type of assessment do you want to put on, at what length of time, and at what interest rate. Those are all the decisions that you will make later. So the mere making of this installation does not put an assessment on the ditch system. There's another step in between.
Correct, but I guess the major question that I got and wanted to be clear on is it doesn't go just to 40. It goes to, there's outlet fees that go on to these 2 other ditches. It will be spread out on that whole system.
Okay.
That was the big question that I had.
All right.
Well, the
It's a
price
big-
tag is
it's a big
unfortunate.
tag.
Yeah, it is. The price tag is unfortunate, but state law pretty well says this is how we have to do business. We have to replace it, and that's how it gets paid for. So I don't think we have many options. I guess from what I've heard, it is, and obviously failing the safety issue, so it needs to be replaced. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'll weigh in. I got several calls on this also, and appreciate the landowners and the people that are here. And it's unfortunate. It's a lot of money for a single private driveway. As Commissioner Wright said, we're kind of bound by what we need to do. This was part of the ditch system. We need to keep it up, and we're kind of locked between a rock and a hard place on this.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I just had, and I don't know if, John, if you know, but I know we had some conversation about this before. Was there an option to go along on a road, but that wasn't even comparable to this price, was it? I mean, there was an option to build another road in there. That was a question that I also got.
Ryan can probably address that closer, but my understanding is there is a small field road around the ditch, but it seemed like a pretty costly to improve that versus
That's what
this.
I just wanted to make
More
that.
liability with that is my understanding.
Was that true, Ryan? I mean, I also had a question, I'm sorry, I should ask it before, that there was an option to go around it and make the crossing.
Correct, and that was our initial, when we found that the bridge was severely deficient, that was the option for the landowner actually to get into their property, was to drive along the buffer, and that worked perfectly well until it rained.
Sure.
And so, but yeah, I believe, it's going to be up to the Drainage Authority, but I believe there's an option to create another in-drive if the board so choose, and I would defer to Mike on that as far as the legality.
And there is that option if it would be less expensive to build a road than it would be to build the ditch or build the bridge. You are free to consider that.
But we've already looked at that? Forgive me.
We did for an initial in-drive, but with that, I believe we would have to purchase land.
Okay.
And just the land purchase alone would be very
Blow
close
this out
to
of
what
the
this
water.
cost would be.
Right.
And the other thing that we're assuming here, and I don't know what on earth this is about, it's not like we are spending $100,000 so somebody has access to 1 acre of land, is it?
No, it is access to their building site.
And the value of that building site is going to far exceed the value of the bridge?
Correct.
So, all right, there's still a motion on the floor. Any further discussion?
Can I just add on the benefit listing?
Please.
If anyone has their original statement, it's got a projected cost of $100,000 at the top. and it's broken down by landowner, how much they would be responsible for. At the very end, it does list the net benefits, and so the outlet benefit to CD 16 on $100,000 would be $5,242.57, and that's the only outlet on that system. So, you know, it's minimal, you may say, to the outlets, but yes, it does exist. And I can provide you copies with this if you have questions from landowners.
So 16 is the only one that really outlets into 40, okay.
What are the total benefits on County Ditch 40?
The total benefits are $1,812,087.96.
And the other question is, does County Ditch 16 have any ditch systems that pay outlet fees to Ditch 16?
I don't have that info with me.
Because I think that there is, but
Nine.
it could very well be. So there is going to, of the 5,000 that 16 pays to 40, 9 or whatever ditches are upstream might pay a part of that to 16.
So that answers part of what you were saying earlier.
Right, as long as it's, I mean, I'm just trying to make sure it's transparent, and I have faith in our staff here, so, and I reviewed this. I know there's some questions I don't like, the costs, I don't, they are what they are, but our redetermination has been done within the last 2 years, so our numbers should be good, and I'm saying that more for the public because I got a number of phone calls, but our numbers should be good. I mean, we could put it off. I think another road would be more costly and probably a lot more liabilities and different things. So I mean, I guess I'm confident in this. You know, some days you got to do what you got to do, and lack of a better word, and I think all this other stuff we'll review when we go through our ditches to make sure that it's as fair as we can make it. I don't like to use that word, but we'll make it when we go through our ditches. We'll allot it out the way we have to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
One more question. Ryan, you might be able to answer this one, but has the hydraulic engineering been completed on this bridge, and we're putting in an adequate size box culvert?
That is correct. The same engineer, structural engineer that looked at the old bridge is the one who ran the hydraulic numbers for the new bridge.
Okay.
So, and that's the numbers that we then gave John's shop, and he designed it.
All right, thank you.
Any further
Mr. Chair,
discussion?
one last thing, again, well, just for, I remember going through it, I don't know if the public did, but we looked at another bridge, no comparison. I feel I myself also agree the double box culvert was better than doing another bridge. Is that right? I mean.
Yeah, the box is the inexpensive route.
Right, yeah.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B, I'd like you to consider approval of a quote we received from Central Applicators out of Foley, Minnesota for tree and brush removal and spraying along our County Road 8 and County Road 115 in the road right-of-way southwest of Hutch. Estimated cost of that, $8,313, and that funding would be in our highway budget. The quote shows that it'll be in the ditch system, but that's not correct. They just had the ditch system in their system, but it'll be billed to us. I asked Adam, and he didn't really want to pay for it, so. That work will be done this fall. It's about 6 miles of road, 12 miles if you count both sides of the ditches.
All right, any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer, any discussion?
I think this section of road, just to have some discussion here, there's getting to be some areas where the trees are a concern, and we do have some workforce questions with being able to get stretched too thin and be able to get in there and do what needs to be done going into winter. And this is a way to just kind of catch up. Is that right, John, for this stretch?
Yeah, the other piece of that, this has been a little neglected. If you recall, when we built that road, we received some DNR funding for wildflowers and everything, so we got to be a little careful as we go through there and gut some of those trees, I think, to try to preserve some of that, I think, but that's the reason.
All right. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
John, in future years going forward, then the Highway Department will maintain that right-of-way. We won't be revisiting this, or it won't be allowed to regrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, in the future, I mean, we will be able to do it with, our standard mowing and stuff, I think. But piece of it, why it was wildflowers, I think is kind of why we're a little hesitant on it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
On to our calendars. Rich?
Okay, since our last meeting had a workshop, was fortunate to help out with the dairy show for the 4-H kids on a Monday. I thought it went very well. Everyone was very considerate. I know the exhibitors had a good time, if you can call it a good time. I know they worked hard and did the best they could with the situation as it was. Also had Community Health Board meeting via Zoom, and the Southern Minnesota Mental Health Association by Zoom, and obviously several phone communications with people in the county. So that brings me up to today.
Paul?
Okay. Over the past couple weeks, we've had a couple of meetings with Budget Committee and a couple of meetings with our new CARES Act Committee, trying to get that ready to roll. I think we have a final meeting this week, so we can get that package put together. And it's definitely a different type of project to figure out how to put money out there from a program. That's kind of the reverse of what we normally do when we sit in Budget Committee, I guess. But last week was various 4-H shows that were put together, and a lot of time invested in that. To start with, I'm going to call Darcy Cole, our 4-H coordinator, for a report. Due to the guidelines that the 4-H program has in place, Darcy is not able to be present. A lot of that program is still done remotely, and even for the coordinators. So I'm gonna, if you give me a minute, see if I can get this to work. Give her a call.
I'm gonna have to hold it up to it.
I think so.
That's what Liz did last time. Worked pretty good. We can go on and come back to it.
Hello? Hello, Darcy. Paul right here. So we have you. I'll try and hold the phone up to the mic, see if we can get this to work. Then you can give your report of how the in-person shows went last week.
Yeah, for sure. Are you ready for me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't have anything that's real formal yet because we haven't actually wrapped up all of our numbers and all of that to know where things are at. But what I can tell you right now is that our shows went very well. So we had shows that started on Monday of last week, and we started with dairy on Monday morning. And that was kind of our first show to just kind of see how things went. Then we ran into Tuesday, and we had goats in the morning and poultry in the afternoon. Then on Wednesday, we brought in all of our beef exhibitors. Thursday, we did sheep in the morning and rabbits in the afternoon. Friday, we had swine, and then we finished up the week on Saturday with our horse exhibitors. In total, we had, at least what preliminary numbers are telling us, 376 livestock exhibits that came through during the course of last week. We were really fortunate in having Sheriff Raymond kind of coordinate getting the posse lined up for us. So we had them come each morning for our shows and kind of just help to do some crowd control, to help direct traffic and just kind of provide some overall support to us each day. And that was really nice to have them there. And we appreciated the support of Sheriff Raymond as well as the posse and just the county as a whole in all of it. So that was a good piece of it as well. We had fabulous volunteers. All of our people who were supposed to be there were there, and we worked very efficiently to get them to be able to do all of their specific roles that Minnesota 4-H had laid out for us as needing to provide in order to do in-person shows. We also had very, very appreciative families. Our families really were happy to have the opportunity to get together and be able to actually show their animals in person versus trying to do that virtual. So, you know, honestly, we did not hear one complaint from anyone the entire week, which is pretty impressive considering that we were bringing together all kinds of people and animals throughout the course of our time together. So that was great. And then we now we're kind of heading towards our auction. So we wanted to make sure that we provided for our 4-Hers some sort of opportunity as close as we could to what our typical livestock auction looks like during county fair, mainly because we wanted to be able to, one, keep those supporters kind of in the pipeline this year and not do it for a year and then kind of lose some supporters, but more importantly, to be able to continue to provide financial support for our 4-Hers. Most of them will use the funds that they earn from the auction either to purchase animals for the next year or to save towards college education. So we had all of our kids turn in their forms last week on Friday, and then we have gotten all that to Fahey Sales, and they're working on trying to put all of that together so that we can start getting it out there to potential bidders as well as our 4-H families so they can start promoting that opportunity. And we will have pre-bidding for all of those premiums for 4-Hers starting this week. And then the actual live virtual auction will be next Monday at 2 p.m. So we've kind of been working towards that as well for our 4-Hers. So that's probably, like I said, a very high level kind of overview of how the week went. We'll have more stats for you and details once we get through processing everything. But again, just appreciate the feedback that you guys provided when we had the initial conversations about what we wanted this to look like and what it could look like here. And also, your support and your financial support of us in going forward with all of these things, because we knew that it was going to be really having to look differently this year as far as what our things look like and having to think kind of outside of the box in order to be able to pull off this really good opportunity for our 4-Hers. Are there any things that any of you guys have questions on right now?
Questions for Darcy?
Or things, Paul, that you want to add, from the volunteer superintendent perspective of the show, which is probably very different than mine as a staff member?
Yeah, I'll have something to add, but we'll see if any board members have any questions or comments for you first.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. Hold on a second. I thought it went very well, and just to give a little bit of a background on that, of course, a couple months ago, county fairs were closing, state fairs closing, and for those individuals who aren't familiar with the 4-H program or the livestock shows, you might not understand what all this is about, but for those who do know all about what happens there, you realize how important this whole process was. Our different superintendents within the 4-H program had several meetings trying to figure out what to do. We had two choices. The virtual show, which was basically take a picture and a video of your animal, it got sent to a judge, and they would evaluate them that way. That was, I guess we'll just call that the easy route. The more complicated was to be able to do an in-person show. And the list of regulations, I guess I'll call them, or guidelines that needed to be followed, they're kind of an eye popper to all of us that, wow, it takes a lot of volunteers and a lot of time to put together a livestock show to begin with. And in order to fulfill all of the requirements, we needed usually about another 15 individuals just to run the newly required safety aspects of a show. And because those regulations, or whatever you want to call them, were so tough to find that many more people, most 4-Hers nationwide had to go with the virtual show. There were pretty much a handful that were able to put together the resources needed to have that in-person show. And within our superintendent's meetings, we all felt very quickly that with the program that we have here, with the kids that we have here, that we at least needed to try that challenge of putting together that in-person show. And we look at, typically this is the time of year where I give a lengthy report on how the state fair went and county fair went from the 4-H side of things. And it's quite obvious that the McLeod County 4-H program brings home an awful lot of champion ribbons, not only on the quality of animals, but also on the herdsmanship aspect, showmanship, knowledge of exhibits area. We just have a great thing going here, and we all felt very strongly that we needed to give these kids that opportunity to have that in-person show. And so we started putting all that together, and we knew that it was going to require a lot, but we also knew that we were in a really good location with the people around us to be able to put it together. So first we looked at the great kids that we have and their projects to be able to have that show. And from there, we were able to utilize the great families that they come from to be able to get all that work and that time put together. The next level was our Superior 4-H program coordinator and support staff, that they were on board and willing, and they knew that this was something that we really needed to try. And then our community volunteers, because there are so many, they stepped forward and they were there to help. County administration helped out as well, making sure that they were aware of the process, and then it came to our sheriff and sheriff's department that allowed utilization of the posse to fulfill those public safety guidelines, and such a tremendous asset that they were. And then our county board that needed to take a look at the contributions not only from budget and policy, but also even showed up to volunteer to fulfill some of those duties last week. The various shows that I was a part of, the judges mentioned many times to congratulate McLeod County to be one of the few that could put together the needed resources and effort to be able to have that in-person show. Honestly, there were just not a lot of 4-H'ers nationwide that could do what McLeod County 4-H'ers were able to participate in last week. We saw a big challenge. We utilized our local resources and people, and we accomplished a goal. And was it the same as your typical fair, typical shows? No, not at all. My takeaway from that, and I've been seeing a lot of this, when changes are thrown our way, and there's been an awful lot of them the last 2-3 months. You kind of have two different ways to look at it. And you can be one of those that complains, gets angry, points a lot of fingers, get frustrated, blames a lot. Basically, you're going to accomplish nothing more than spreading that bad attitude. The other, perhaps more of a route of leadership. To acknowledge change, make a plan, make a goal, think outside the box, work with the people and resources around you. Although things might not be the same, at least you accomplish something. And I see an awful lot of this happening in our community, through our businesses, through our people, through our schools, our county employees, and coming in a process that comes from this county board as well. And a big thank you and congratulations to everybody that was able to put last week together.
Move forward with in-person just because of the volunteers that were needed, because of the extra time and planning and all of those pieces. And every county approached that different as to their openness, from the perspective of volunteers, but also the perspective of staff. Some had really good conversation like we did around whether or not we wanted to pursue something in person. Others kind of had their mind made up before they went into it. So I think it was approached differently. And as Paul said, all of our judges were very happy to see us doing in person, and appreciated the fact that we were kind of stepping out there on a ledge a little bit to make this happen. And some of those that were 4-H parents wish that their child would have had that same opportunity in their home county. So it was neat to see that. And we had we had one judge, our horse judge, who also was asked to do a virtual judging the same day, and was glad to come to our in-person rather than doing the virtual opportunity. And again, I appreciate, the support that the county and that the board, specifically has had for us. On Monday at the dairy show, we had Rich and Doug both there, helping with health screening so they could kind of see what was going on and just, putting in that time. And then also just having that open offer that if we needed help throughout the rest of the week that they're willing to come. So I think that that also says a lot for the support that our county board has for our 4-H program, because I don't think that there's many counties that could claim if they had done an in-person show that they had 3 of their commissioners there as volunteers as part of their week. So again, thank you for the continued support that you give for our 4-H program, because all of that support is what makes it possible for our families, our staff, our volunteers, all to move forward with the things that we do here in McLeod County. So we greatly appreciate that.
All right, thanks, Darcy.
Yeah, no problem. You guys have a good day, and if you have other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And again, thank you for all that you continue to do for our 4-H program.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Paul?
Thank you.
All right. Real quick for me, the workshop after the last meeting, some meetings with the Silver Lake Police Department, contract that we'll discuss here in a few minutes, a lot of CARES Act questions, some meetings with admin and staff regarding appointments, and the canvassing board. Ron?
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Since our last board meeting, I also had a meeting on the 13th in the morning. We had the Meeker McLeod Sibley Community Health Board, Joint Powers Board meeting via Zoom, and we have worked out some details. We've got an intern working for the CHS board right now, doing some additional support in grant applications and so forth. So it's going really pretty well with all concerned with health issues in our 3-county service area. Then on the evening of the 13th, along with Commissioner Nagel and our Sheriff Scott Raymond and our Chief Deputy Tim Langenfeld, we participated in a public meeting with the Silver Lake community to hear about their issues and concerns with the policing services for Silver Lake, and as Joe mentioned, we'll cover that in the contract discussion. And then last night, I also attended the Silver Lake City Council meeting and assured the residents that that we hear their concerns and we will be working with them through our sheriff's contract as much as possible. So that is it, Mr. Chair.
Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the 3rd, I had SWCD board meeting I attended. On the 4th, our workshop. And on after the workshop, we had a presentation from an economic development firm, and excuse me, but I missed the name, but it was a very enlightening presentation on what some of our some of the things that we can do for economic development, and it was very interesting for me. I'm probably the one they're pulling along, and as an older guy, but I mean, I think economic development is become very important for communities now to attract businesses and just residents. On the 5th, we had as Commissioner Wright had said, we had a Corona Relief Fund meeting along with a budget meeting. On the 6th, I had a Lower Minnesota One Watershed One Plan meeting where we awarded our engineering contract to Bar Engineering. They work in conjunction with another engineering firm to start us up on our One Watershed One Plan. On the 11th, on the 9th, I did do the dairy show with Commissioner Pohlmeyer. It was, as you just heard, as successful as it can be with everything going on. Everybody was happy to be there. I got to walk around just a little bit. Obviously, the public wasn't there, but the kids were happy to at least be able to do what we could do. So I will echo what Darcy said. It went well. On the 11th, we had another budget meeting with our Corona Relief Fund, and now we have a committee. From now on, it's going to be known as what is it going to be here now? CRF, I believe. That's going to be the acronym, so that's changed. And then on the 13th, I had a drainage work group meeting, Pretty much the content, I thank Ryan Freitag for sitting in for me because I had a double-up meeting, but I got to sit in part of it. We talked about bonding and acquiring easements on conservation land for lack of better words, tiling into ditches or repairing tiles that are in conservation lands. On that evening, on the 13th, I also attended the Glanco Township meeting to get their virus form filled out. They're going to be out working also with McLeod County on their money. I'm going to also do Helen Township, I believe, this Thursday. They're interested in working with us too. On Friday the 14th, Commissioner Nagel and myself were sat on the canvassing board. Brings us to today.
Sheila, anything to add?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, item A.
Thank you. Item A, consider approval of CARES Act CRF, which means Coronavirus Relief Fund. Committee dollars allocation recommended guidelines. I'm going to go through a short document with you to make sure that this is all clear. I'll read as fast as I can because this meeting has been long. I apologize. Funds have been made available to McLeod County and municipalities within McLeod County for COVID-19 related expenses within the time frame of March 1, 2020 through December 2020. And I say through December 2020 because the dates keep changing and it's quite complicated, to be honest. In response, McLeod County has formed a committee, the CARES Act CRF Committee, to manage the recommendations to distribute these dollars through the McLeod County Board of Commissioners. Since these dollars can be used for assistance with consulting and management of dollars, McLeod County has hired Peel Hansen Beckman of Hutchinson to manage the transactions and auditing of these funds. Eligible McLeod County municipalities also received funds, so most of our townships and cities. All of the McLeod County municipalities were invited to use the services of the county hired through PHB and the services of the CRF committee to ensure they have adequate resources to manage and distribute their funds. Several cities and townships within McLeod County have opted to distribute their dollars through McLeod County due to resource and time constraints, and to ensure the dollars are distributed within federal guidelines. These cities and townships will be included on the application for funds so that local businesses and nonprofit groups can apply for the funds from both the county and or their city or township through one application. Several cities and townships will manage their funds separately as well. Cities and townships have until November 15th to distribute their funds to eligible recipients. We think the county has until December 10th to distribute our funds to eligible recipients, but the rules keep, as I said, changing. So we will have that updated December date on our application form once it's released. State and federal government continue to work through the timelines and regulations for the expenditure of these dollars, and it's expected that there will be changes throughout this time period for the timelines and eligible expenses. This has been a confusing process to manage in a short time period, and the county will continue to do their best in staying up to date while adjusting the process as needed. McLeod County has received $4,368,783 to distribute. That does not include the funds managed for other municipalities within the county. We have told those municipalities that will be participating in our distribution process and application process that they will still have management of their funds through November 15th. So if they have projects in their communities, we encourage them to distribute their dollars throughout their communities. We're simply managing the transactions and application process for them through November 15th. A preliminary breakdown of the funds has been determined by the CRF committee as I'll read to you. Community resilience, meaning housing, food, and financial assistance through local partners. So through the partners throughout our county that handle those types of assistance, we have allocated $250,000. Business and nonprofit assistance, we have allocated $1.5 million. Education partners support for K through 12 education, We've allocated $500,000. County emergency response and funding of expenses, $1,618,783, and reserved for to be determined costs. As we know that this COVID situation keeps changing, we've reserved $500,000 as a recommendation to the board. These allocations are subject to change, and they likely will change with the needs identified throughout the process. They will also change after November 15th if the cities and townships have applied for their dollars and if that surplus comes back to the county. Eligible applicants will be encouraged to apply for these funds through the grant application process for qualifying COVID-19 related expenses within the eligible date range. For more information regarding the application process, you will have to go to our website and be able to see that, but we also will have a printed version available to all of the participating partners. Just for the media, I do have this typed out. Obviously, I'm reading it from my screen, and I'll provide it to you so it is more clear if it is approved by the board. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Thanks for the work, Sheila.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Sheila, for being the spearhead on this project. It's really great. Question I have on the education partners, K through 12. I know we've got our public schools, private schools, parochial schools be eligible as well, and then possibly homeschooling. Could they also apply for the education funds?
We did not include homeschooling. We included, I'm sorry, I can't think of the word, but like certified educational institutions.
Okay, all right.
Throughout the county.
All right, thank you.
And for where large amounts of our students attend school from the county, because
Okay.
we do know that we have a couple of schools that are not in our county where a large percentage of the students are from here.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I believe Sheila's looking for a motion to approve this. Correct?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item B.
Thank you. Item B, consider approval to authorize the county attorney, Mike Young, to move forward with pursuing litigation with Green Forest Recycling Resources of Brainerd, Minnesota.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
I think originally we had kind of scheduled today to be able to see this. However, another part of that is we wanted our MRF committee to sit down and make sure that the numbers and so forth were in order. And with everything going on the last couple weeks, we were not able to meet. And so that is an important part of this item. So I put a motion to table until the MRF committee is able to come forward with this, hopefully shortly. So.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Could you put a date on when it's tabled too, please? Your next meeting is the 1st, and then you have a meeting on the 15th of September.
Let's to the 15th, and we know that we're definitely have time to make sure we're ready.
It's okay with me.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kruger to table to the 15th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C. Sheriff, you want to come up?
Thank
Scott?
you. Do you want him to read the item, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tee it up here a little bit. This is the consideration of the agreement of the law enforcement services for the city of Silver Lake. Scott, you want to go over it a little bit?
Sure. Do you want me to go over a little bit of how we got to this point?
No.
No? Okay.
Because we've already done that.
All right. Last night, John Jerebick he's the city clerk from Silver Lake. He's in the audience here. The Silver Lake City Council made a resolution to enter into contract with the sheriff's office for 50 hours a week, and that was passed. And I'm asking for approval of that contract. The total cost of that contract amount will be $155,272 per year.
Okay, Ron, I'm going to give this to you first.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I attended the meeting with the sheriff last night at Silver Lake, their city council meeting. There was a thorough discussion. They held the taking additional public comment from the citizens of Silver Lake, and there was a strong concern, of the citizens of Silver Lake that they would like to maintain a local police department as much as possible, but the reality is that they do not have a staff for their police department at this time, and so it's crucial, I think, in the interest of public safety that we go ahead with this contract for the sheriff's office to provide 50 hours of weekly service to the Silver Lake community and, keep law and order in our county as well as in our local community. But listening to the discussion, Silver Lake has a tremendous volunteer force working on our ambulance service and on our fire department. And they are truly respectful of the county sheriff's ability to provide service, but they still have a strong appreciation for having their own local police department as well. This is a measure that I think is in order. The contract is for the balance of this year and for the year 2021. And I think this service that we can provide through McLeod County Law Enforcement is, second to none. We'll be there protecting the people of Silver Lake and the surrounding community. And there is much to be said about having your own local police department. The council was split on this decision, but the majority prevailed, and they are seeking to move ahead with this contract from the city of Silver Lake. Again, I said there's so much emotional investment in this issue in Silver Lake, and I appreciate that. I think cool heads have prevailed. There's going to be changes, but they are working and will work with the sheriff's office to make sure that everyone is taken care of. And I know the value personally of having a local police department. I had an incident on my farm a few years ago where I was trapped in a grain bin. It wasn't life-threatening, but it was very serious. And my wife reminded me yesterday that the Silver Lake police chief was the first on the scene. And, I live 4 miles outside of town, but he was able to respond the most rapidly. And for that reason, I really appreciate the concept of having a local police department. But in the interest of, expediency and public safety today, we need this contract with the sheriff's office. So thank you, Sheriff Raymond, for being a part of this whole discussion. And I move for the approval of the contract with the city of Silver Lake.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second? I'll second it. And I would just add to that, and I've been a part of a lot of this, and it was a very, Commissioner Szymanski used emotion, and it was very emotional. On the 13th, we tried to take the emotion out of the room the best we could and answer the questions that they had, and they were very respectful questions to us. And again, it was easy for us. It wasn't a sales pitch. It was just something that the city of Silver Lake had asked us to do, and we were able to do that. This by no means is an effort certainly not by the county, to dismantle emergency services in the city of Silver Lake. And I don't think it is an effort by the city of Silver Lake to do that either. But it is an effort to put law enforcement there on maybe a more consistent basis. Yep. And I guess the only thing I would ask, Scott, is if the 50 hours isn't enough, you got to tell them.
Well, correct.
Yeah. And that's where we're at. So I'm sure I'm missing something. That's been a long few weeks here as we've got to this point. So Mike, you look like you have something to say.
I do. Just so that the board is aware, we have a hybrid of law enforcement delivery of services within McLeod County. We currently have a contract with the city of Stewart, and that's been in effect for
15 years?
Close to that. And that was their choice to no longer have their own department. The county agreed that that they would offer the services, and we have a contract with them, much like you have with the city of Silver Lake.
And again, this is their Silver Lake's choice.
This is Silver Lake's choice also.
Yep.
You also have the situation in Biskie and in Plato, where there is no law enforcement department. There is no special contract. The sheriff has the obligation of providing a base level of service to all the residents of the county. So what Stewart and Silver Lake have chosen to do is to take that base level and increase that level through dedicated hours, service, and manpower. This could happen with other departments, but you do not know. There is going to be a separate question that is going to be presented to you at some point about prosecution of their misdemeanor and gross misdemeanor offenses, and that may come to a discussion at some other time. Right now, the city of Stewart receives the services of my office at no additional cost, but there is a statute that kind of cuts the population line at 600 for us providing free services to counties, or to cities, versus charging for such services. The city of Silver Lake currently has a contract with a private attorney to take care of their prosecution of misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors within the city limits, and that is not going to be affected by this contract here. There may be a different story come the first of the year, but I'm not predicting anything. And again, it's important that each city gets to make that choice for themselves. We are not here trying to build a kingdom in the sheriff's department where the personnel is larger, the budget's larger, et cetera, et cetera. We are responding to their request. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Doug?
The only thing I didn't hear is how did you get to the 50 hours? Is that what they?
It was their decision, and if you remember from our workshop, it was through personnel and budget that, it was the sheriff's office will add one person and then essentially absorb the
10 hours.
the extra 10 hours to
Okay,
make that work.
I remember
that's what I mean by, and I know we will, they got to tell them if it's not enough, and they're going to have to respond to that, So that's how, it was their decision for the 50 hours.
Okay, I received some input, so I thank you and Commissioner Nagel and Szymanski for, you guys were right there, so, and for me, it's a policy, public safety issue like Mr. Young explained, so it is what it is.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let us know how it goes, okay?
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, item D.
Item D, notification of board workshop to be held following the board meeting on September 1, 2020 at the Glanco City Center, Senior Room, 1107 11th Street East, Glanco, Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you. Open forum. Anyone wish to address the board?
Mr. Chair, I have
Yes,
one
sir.
other board matter, if I may.
Yes, sir.
The county was served with an appeal by United States Solar Corporation and USS Waterfowl Solar regarding solar farms on County Road 15 south of CASA 7 by a mile or so. Just wanted to inform you that we've received that appeal. It was filed with the Minnesota Court of Appeals, and I will deal with our administrator, our zoning administrator, and perhaps MCIT to prepare for our defense in that matter. But I'm required to notify you of any litigation that we've been served with at the next available meeting. So I'm doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board? Press relations? Thank you. Looking for a motion to recess till September 1st, 9 a.m. at the Glencoe City Center.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.